Hi, everybody. I'm going to tackle a tough philosophical problem, and that's consciousness. We all know the word. I'm not sure we all have the same definitions for it, but it's a phenomenon that has puzzled even neuroscientists for many, many years, decades now. Basically, consciousness is the world. I've already talked about the phenomenal reality that we live in, and consciousness is that world. We live in our consciousness, and everything that we experience is part of our consciousness. Now, is consciousness a material thing? Does it happen in the brain? Well, we've done a lot of research into what goes on, neural firing and so forth in the brain, and we have not found a solution there. In our experiences, we see quite different things than our scientific reality tells us, and I refer to those as qualia. And if you remember, there was another talk that I recently gave that had to do with sense-based and non-sense-based qualia, and how they represent the brain's interpretation of what's really going on in the world, and it's a representation to us in our consciousness, so we can navigate the world and make the decisions that we have to make. So consciousness is not material in the sense that we cannot find it in a particular place, and it doesn't seem to be subject to dimensions of any kind or location. It appears to be a phenomenon, and it does appear to be caused by the brain. It does appear like the brain is causing a non-materialistic phenomenon to happen that represents our consciousness. Now, if it's not materialistic, then what is it? Well, it is psychological. It's psychologically real because we're experiencing things every day. So, it's psychologically real. It does it mean that there are phenomena that are not materialistic that can happen in our world? I think it does. It clearly says that not everything is comprised of atoms and molecules and such. Some of the things that are real in our world are things like colors and sounds and tastes and feelings and so forth. Now there is a theory called emergence, and that's where, as things get developed, as an organism, for example, becomes more developed and more complicated, phenomena emerge that cannot be traced back to the properties of what comprise the parts that comprise the whole. So, in other words, the whole has properties that the individual parts don't. And that's an interesting theory. I'm not sure that that's the explanation of consciousness, but it could be. It's almost as though it's like another similarity is if you take hydrogen and oxygen, which are both gases, and put them together in a certain way, they form H2O, water. And water has very different properties than either hydrogen or oxygen alone. So maybe emergence is the solution here. In any case, it's many materialistic scientists will just simply deny that consciousness exists and say, well, it's just a phenomenon that doesn't have any real reality. What most, I think, scientists who really think about it are puzzled by the nature of consciousness, and it's a very interesting phenomenon. And so my best thinking on consciousness is it appears to be produced by the brain, and that it appears to be non-materialistic, that's not based on matter. Even though it's produced by matter, it does not, in its own essence, appear to be matter. It is a marvelous phenomenon because we live there. We live in our consciousness. And as I explained when I talked about the phenomenal world, our own ego is part of it. You know, it is there in our consciousness, and it's there in terms of an image of it, not the real ego. The real ego is above and beyond that, as I've already explained. Well, we'll talk more about consciousness and what this means in subsequent talks. Thank you.